In this segment on Radio Raheem, he does a great job of doing interviews and asking these fighters some really good questions. I really admire that he goes around, he's on this grind. He's having a sit down interview with Deontay Wilder, and Deontay Wilder is explaining to him why he thinks the sweet science is a myth. Let's see what they have to say about it.
Tay Wilder, you made a comment that this is a gladiator sport, and that's true, certainly to a degree. And when boxing purists hear that, right, and they hear like our interview after the Ortiz fight, you say skills don't pay the bills, they're just coming to knock you out, right? That kind of thing for purists is like, well, you have to.
I can see that Deontay Wilder, he's a little sensitive about people calling him, Wild Wilder. Saying that he some people out there saying he fight like a mid-will, and he's wild with his punches, and he's fight like a min-will, and he doesn't have the technical aspect that some of your other fighters had, like a Ali or a Lennox Lewis. And to a large degree, Mike Tyson. People look at Mike Tyson as being a knockout, but Mike Tyson, early in his career when he was a Customato, he was a very great technical fighter. He understood how to set up his punches. But I think Wilder, he's hearing the rumblings that he's not that technically sound. Now, Wilder did start late in boxing, so he doesn't have the muscle memory of guys that started earlier, like a Mayweather, guys like that, Sugar Ray Leonard, guys of De La Hoya and Sugar Shane Mosley. Those guys started early, and so they understand and have the muscle memory and were properly, had the proper time to get down the technique on how to throw a hook, right hand, set up your feet right. And Deontay Wilder, he's saying that he thinks the sweet science is a myth. And how can you tell him how to throw a punch the right way if he's being successful? And like I always said about Deontay Wilder, he doesn't have to the way that he throw punches, he doesn't have to hit you clean. I've seen him knock guys out without hitting them clean, knock guys down without hitting them clean. So yes, he can get away with that, but Deontay Wilder has to be careful with that. He has to understand that not everyone that walks into the gym is going to have his freakish power. Not everybody that walks into the gym is going to have the reflexes like a Roy Jones or a Floyd Mayweather or Muhammad Ali or Sugar Ray Leonard or Sugar Ray Robinson. Those guys does not come like all the time. So most guys that walk into the gym, they're not able to throw a correct hook, a correct right hand, a correct jab, or know how to place their feet, or know how to set up punches with distance, or know how to move their head and slip the jab. Some things gonna have to be a lot of things will have to be taught to them. Wilder, he has a God-given power. He has God-given power. So yes, he can get away with not being able to throw his punches correctly and still get guys out of there. Now, he's been highly successful, so in his mind, the science of the sweet science of boxing is a myth. But it's not for everyone. Does not have that freakish power. So, like I said, most guys will have to learn the sweet science. It's not a myth, Mr. Deontay Wilder. I respect Deontay Wilder, but it's not a myth.
Move this way, you got a jab here, you got a right hand is thrown correctly, the hook is thrown correctly this way. Obviously you don't ascribe to that theory. What made you believe that, the science is out the window? It's just gladiator.
It's a myth.
I just think this is Deontay Wilder's response to all those people out there in the YouTube land that's saying that, he fights wild. And this is his clap back at those guys saying, no, I'm doing things despite not learning the sweet science, having the sweet science down pat like most of your either great fighters now or past great fighters. I'm doing it without the quote unquote sweet science.
And I don't want to take away, when I say it's a myth, I don't want to take away from all the great trainers in the world. There's a lot of great trainers. Rest in peace, Emmanuel Stewart, because Emmanuel Stewart said that this very moment would happen. He said that me and Tyson Fury would be the mans of the division. He told me that Deontay Wilder would be heavyweight champion of the world. And even when he started fighting the so-called best, that people say the best, you still gonna knock him out. I'm living in prophecy. Me and Fury live in the boxing, and now we finna clash with each other to see who's the best. You know, people say a lot. People say a lot of things. You know what I mean? And how can other analysts or anybody else say anything about boxing if you never experienced it?
Now, I agree to a large extent with Deontay Wilder when he says, an analyst saying, how can you say how you should fight, how you should throw a punch correctly, as long as the analyst is not a former trainer or a former fighter, because I expect them to know. But the average guy on YouTube that never been in a boxing ring or never experienced even sparring, how can you... I can understand him talking to those guys saying, how can you really tell me how to throw a correct punch? And that's valid, but like I said, trainers, former fighters, they can tell you that, Deontay Wilder, you're not throwing the hook right. If you throw the hook this way, you'll be more effective. The shot will get there quicker. If you don't throw it as wide, if you be more compact, if you throw your right hand without falling in, if you throw a feint before you throw your right hand, if you throw your right hand at this certain distance, it'll be more effective. So, but I understand what Deontay Wilder's saying about the ordinary people that do not experience boxing. Because I've been in the boxing ring. I actually had a couple professional fights. Now, I never was on the level of, doing great in boxing, but I have been in the ring and sparred countless of rounds. And the sweet science is true. It's not a myth. You really have to know what you're doing up in there. It's not like a street fighter. Most street fighters don't know how to set up punches. Most street fighters don't know how to set up distance. Most of them fight wild. So, like I said, unless you have some God-given ability that you can just come in a boxing ring and you can know some things that a trainer cannot teach you. Other than that, most people fall in the category of have to learn the sweet science.
Do you know what it feels like to walk the tongue? You know what it feels like to go over the ropes? That feeling? You don't know what's going to happen.
But the average observer can look at Wilder and say he not throwing his punches correctly without even having to spar or be in the ring. Now you can look at a fighter and say, man, he's wild. You can do that.
Train hard for it. But can you execute everything that you've been working? You're not perfect. And in boxing, you don't be hit. And my thing is, I don't know anything.
See, when Deontay Wilder made that statement, you're not perfect, that's him saying, yes, I may be wild. I may not throw my punches correctly like you want me to, but I'm still highly successful. And like I said, he has a point there. He is highly successful, but you can't say, boxing is a myth because, the sweet science is a myth because it's not. The sweet science is what gets 99% of the fighters, make them successful. So it's only that 1% or that less than 1% that are, gifted like a Ali, gifted like a Roy Jones, gifted like, maybe a Sugar Ray Robinson. But even they have to train and, work on their craft, which is called the sweet science. So, like I said, I think Deontay Wilder just, he's been a little bit sensitive, clapping back at those, people that's calling him wild. I don't think he's wild all the time in the ring. I just think when he has a man hurt, he gets a little wild. He gets a little excited because he want to get the guy out of there. So he can get a little wild, but some people, they go a little bit overboard saying that he's wild, just period. He just wild. No, he to me he sets up his punches fairly well. Like I said, the man I seen him hit maybe Spilker clean, maybe Ortiz a little clean, but he doesn't really hit guys clean. But if he did hit guys clean, he probably hurt somebody real bad. But let me know what y'all think. Subscribe to the channel. I'm out.